With the 2025 NFL season about to start, we thought we'd take one last look at 2024. We're going to be ranking all 32 teams by their luck score, starting with the least lucky of the bunch and counting down to the luckiest of them all. We won't be including any C-scores in this video, but if you're interested in seeing those, we did do an end of the season ranking. The link to that is in the description below, or you can click on the card that should be popping up on the right hand corner of your screen right about now. Luck score is pretty simple to determine. We take the amount of wins a team is expected to have, playoffs included where relevant, and compare it to how many wins it actually had. More actual wins, the luckier. Fewer actual wins, the unluckier. All that out of the way, want to take a moment to thank you for joining us today. Away we go. The NFL's unluckiest team in 2024 were the San Francisco 49ers. They weren't particularly great. Their expected win total still leaves them as a losing team, but they also played the league's hardest schedule. They're the only team with a luck score under -2 at -2.053. There isn't much to sugarcoat the back half of the 49ers season, including 3 losses by at least 20 points each. 2 of those opponents were the Packers and the Bills. They also played the top-notch Detroit Lions, keeping that game much closer as part of their 2-6 record in one-score games. We didn't have to wait long for our first playoff team. Taking the 31st spot are the Denver Broncos. It was their first playoff appearance since winning Super Bowl 50, yet they underperformed their expected win total of near 12, leaving their luck score at -1.802. Denver's defense was excellent all season, deservedly landing all pros at every level, but the offense was as good as it had been in years. This was the first time since 2014 that they finished in the top half of the league in scoring, including that Super Bowl title winning season. They only went 1-6 in one-score games though. Next up are the Chicago Bears. They were expecting to take some time to get back into contention, but they sparked some optimism with a 4-2 start. They only managed one more win despite the expectation of more, landing them a luck score of -1.546. The Bears took it on all fronts. They lost on a last-second Hail Mary, which they admittedly could have done better to prevent, and they played in a powerhouse division. That Hail Mary loss was the first of 10 in a row, half of them by 3 points or fewer, including one in overtime. When you're this bad, you might suspect to get a little unlucky. Such is the fate of the New York Giants at number 29. 3-14 is never a good place to be, but they can take some solace that they may have been expected to win just a little more, with their luck score at -1.523. It was the celebration of their 100th season, but it may have felt like they took 100 losses. They were actually 2-3 early on and sat just half a game behind the eventual Super Bowl champion Eagles. They were only 1-7 in one-score games, but they were also a lousy 2-7 in multi-score games. The Arizona Cardinals represent a losing team that should have been a winning team here at number 28. An expected win total of 9.42 doesn't get them to the playoffs though, and of course neither did their 8 actual wins. That drove their luck score down to -1.42. The Cards were in the top half of the league in points scored, points allowed, and near the very top of the league in strength of schedule. They were certainly better than the year before, but they took 2 damaging December road losses, one in overtime and the other by 4 points in a game where they only allowed 13. When you're this bad, you might suspect to get a little unlucky. Such is the fate of the Tennessee Titans at number 27. 3-14 is never a good... This all sounds so familiar. Anyway, the Titans were trash, but could have been a touch better, with their luck score at -1.308. At least the Giants could claim the Super Bowl champion and both NFC title game combatants in their division. The AFC South was its usual weak self, and the Titans still rooted themselves to the bottom of it. Then they passed on two potentially generational talents in the draft. Have fun this season. We've got our second playoff team before we hit the top 25 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Expected to fall apart over the previous two seasons, the Bucs still won yet another division title, and they did so by underachieving, to the tune of a luck score of -1.156. Tampa's schedule was an absolute gauntlet before heading into their bye. After the bye, they played 7 more games, winning 6 of them by 106 points in total, and losing the other by just 2. Part of that was their schedule leveling out, but the other part of it is that they were simply a very good football team. Right back to the NFC South we go, with the New Orleans Saints at number 25. As far as 2-0 starts go, the Saints were one of the best of all time. Then the rest of the season happened. Their expected win total says they deserved a touch more, ending with a luck score of -1.086. That miserable run to the end of the season culminated with the first shutout loss by anyone all season in Week 16. Their schedule was underwhelming, and they looked about the same in their one-score games as they did in their multi-score games. Those first 2 games still happened though, and they still count on the ledger. The Golden Knights, they are not. Coming in at number 24 are the Las Vegas Raiders. It just hasn't been their century, has it? At least not since 2002. They clawed out 4 wins on the year, but could have been expected to just clear 5. So they snare a luck score of -1.075. The Raiders had the same problem as the Bears this season, minus a Hail Mary loss. They were stuck in a division where 3 teams won double-digit games and made the playoffs. They wound up getting swept within the division, but they put a couple of scares into the Chiefs, especially on Black Friday. Here now is the other team Davante Adams played for this season, the New York Jets, coming in at number 23. Usually there is such little positivity to find in anything Jets related, but here it is. Their win total was short of their expected win total. Woohoo! Their luck score is -1.064. They were probably thinking, hey, we've got a good defense and we're getting Aaron Rodgers back. Well, one person can't save a football team, and their defense fell apart after their ill-advised firing of head coach Robert Saleh. Niner fans sure are happy to get him back. Hey, thanks, Jets. Oh boy. The other 3-win teams at least had more than 4 expected wins. Is that too much to ask, Cleveland? Apparently it is. A year after making the playoffs, the Browns were the Browns again. Officially unlucky, and officially the Browns. Their luck score is -0.835. Their strength of schedule, tied for second hardest in the league, is all that saved this score. They were outscored by more than 10 points per game and went a damned impressive 0-10 in multiple possession contests. But they pulled the Dallas Cowboys trick of having more Pro Bowlers this season than wins. The Green Bay Packers put us on the edge of the top 20. Going from the 7 seed one season to the 7 seed the next season seems like a lateral move, but this team was much improved. Even at 11-6, more could have been expected, giving them a luck score of -0.712. Of course, being the 7 seed means a road playoff game, and without Dallas to feast on, they were one and done. Green Bay played 5 regular season games against opponents with a combined 72 wins. That's gotta be a record, right? It'll be worth looking into. They could have helped themselves by winning any of them, though. We opened the top 20 with our first team that won a playoff game in the Baltimore Ravens. That win against the Steelers gave them 13 on the season, but still fell short of what could have been expected of them. They remain in the negatives with a luck score of -0.464. as we've grown accustomed to seeing the Ravens were their usual mix of dynamic offense and punishing defense this season. They did this against an above-average schedule while going 500 in their one-score games and undefeated in their multi-score games. If they could only figure out how the playoffs work. Coming in at number 19 are the perennially disappointing Jacksonville Jaguars. They went 4-13 this season and more or less deserved that exact record. Their expected win total wasn't much higher than 4.3, giving them an unflattering luck score, for that record anyway, of negative 0.317. And to think that there was hope for the Jags after putting up back-to-back seasons with a winning record for the first time since 2004 and 2005. Instead, they played in the AFC South, still only won 4 games, with only one of those coming outside the division in their home away from home in London. But hey, you swept the Titans. Yet, the also 4-13 New England Patriots had it even worse. While still officially unlucky, of all the 3 and 4 win teams this season, the Patsies were the softest in this regard. Their expected win total barely outplaced their actual total, leaving them with a luck score of negative 0.16. That one game the Jaguars won outside the division? It was against the Patriots, also serving as Jacksonville's only multiple possession win of the season. The Pats only had one such win themselves against the free-falling Chicago Bears. They lost some close ones too, but this simply wasn't a good football team. We're still in the top half of the countdown, but we've made the switch from unlucky to lucky. Just barely though, on both counts. At number 17 are the Cincinnati Bengals. This is minuscule, of course, but by the letter of the law, they were overachievers with a luck score of 0.03. Essentially written off at 4-8, the Bengals charged hard toward the end of the year, winning their last 5 games, but still missing the playoffs. They could score, but they really couldn't stop others from scoring. And despite a solid division, their overall strength of schedule sat in the bottom quarter of the league. Now we're officially in the top half of the countdown, with the Los Angeles Chargers at number 16. They experienced a quick turnaround from the season before, going 11-6 and making the playoffs. That's pretty much in line with their expected win total, giving them a luck score of 0.035. That playoff game wasn't one for the photo album though, or is that one for the cloud now? Anyway, the Chargers allowed the 24th most points in 2023 before cranking that all the way up to allowing the fewest points in the league this season. And just like the Raiders, they lost one game to the Chiefs by 7 points and another by just 2 points. It's one thing to lose double-digit games. It's another to have luck on your side when doing so. Taking the 15th spot are the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, Dak Prescott got injured, but he's also the league's highest paid player while not being the league's best player. Not even close. Their luck score is 0.409. Did you know that Dallas was 2-7 in Jerry World this season, and that they lost 4 of those games by at least 24 points? Another funny note about this team, they had as many losing streaks as they did winning streaks, just that one of those losing streaks was 5 in a row. But hey, they're always on TV. We will not be seeing another team with fewer wins in the rest of this countdown than we do right now. At 5-12, the Carolina Panthers nonetheless take up the 14th spot. They didn't have the league's worst record this season, but they did have its lowest C-score. Their luck score is 0.419. While it is true that they lost 2 heartbreakers to the 2 teams that wound up playing in the Super Bowl, it's also true that they got their heads kicked in quite often, to the point that they set a new NFL record for most points allowed in a season. Sure, that was in 17 games, but no one else gave up that many points now, did they? It was the worst of times, it was the so-soest of times. They, without a single playoff win during the 21st century, taking spot number 14 are the Miami Dolphins. They overcame a 2-6 start to almost hit respectability, in the process overachieving their expected win total with a luck score of 0.521. This was only the second time since 2014 that Miami finished in the top 10 for fewest points allowed, which would seemingly indicate a successful season given their recent offensive performances. That wasn't meant to be, and by playing the league's easiest schedule, this is where they find themselves. Be honest, you thought they would rank higher than this. Taking the 12th spot are the Pittsburgh Steelers. It probably wasn't too hard to peg them in the lucky category, but that luck score isn't so overwhelming. In fact, it stays in the sub-1 category at 0.661. Looking at it though, the Steelers played a pretty average schedule and had a better performance in their multi-score games than they did in their one-possession games. What's the problem then? Well, they failed to clear 20 points 10 times and still won 4 of those games. That's a really tough ask in today's NFL. After 2 early visits to the NFC West, we finally return with the Seattle Seahawks grabbing the final spot before the top 10. 10 is how many games they won this season, but 7 is how much they outscored their opponents by. 0.7 approximates their luck score, officially sitting at 0.681. If you told Seahawk fans before the season that they would be 7-1 on the road, they probably would have started making plans for the Super Bowl. But what you didn't tell them was that they went 3-6 at home, their worst showing in 16 years, and that they would instead hold the title of team with the best record that failed to make the playoffs. We opened the top 10 at number 10 with the Buffalo Bills. Luck is a relative term here. This is a powerhouse team no matter how you look at it. Their 2 playoff wins pushed their overall total to 15, but they were still expected to surpass 14, giving them a luck score of 0.786. Yet, it seems like the AFC East can only put out 2 good teams in the same season about twice per decade. That weak division played a part in Buffalo getting the league's 4th easiest schedule, but they were Super Bowl worthy through and through. It's just too bad that Haley Steinfeld isn't as famous as what's her name. In a classic case of being the victims of their own success, the Detroit Lions take the number 9 spot in our countdown. Their 15 wins came with a plus 222 point differential, all done against a top 10 schedule. Yet they outperformed their expected win total, giving them a luck score of 0.816. As great as the Lions were this season, and they were great, they will be defined by their playoff loss against the upstart Washington Commanders. They were laid to waste by injuries on defense, and it finally caught up to them. Like a couple of other teams we've seen on the countdown, Detroit was better on the road this season, going undefeated. There are 2 teams remaining with a losing record, and one of them sits right here at number 8 in the Atlanta Falcons. They were looking playoff bound at 6-3 with a season sweep of the Buccaneers in hand. But you know, they're the Falcons, so it didn't happen. Their luck score is 0.947. The Falcons only won 2 games all season by more than 6 points, and they did so against 2 of the worst teams in the league, the Carolina Panthers and the New York Giants. They did lose their final 2 of the season in overtime, but the damage had already been done. Throw in a bottom 10 schedule, and it's just one more notch in the belt for Atlanta. We've arrived at the champs. Taking the number 7 spot are the Philadelphia Eagles. An absolutely deserving Super Bowl champion, they still got by with a little luck here and there. 14 regular season wins and 4 playoff wins landed them past their expected total, giving us a huge leap to a luck score of 1.929. For Philly, it was simply a matter of their schedule. They were 7th in scoring, 2nd in fewest points allowed, and 2nd in point differential, but 3rd to last in strength of schedule. That held true in the playoffs as well, considering that with only 6 spots remaining, their final 3 opponents have yet to be revealed. We now immediately jump to luck scores over 2, and of course it's the Indianapolis Colts taking us there. They're also the highest ranked team on the countdown that still couldn't land a winning record. That 8-9 more closely resembled 6-11, giving them a luck score of 2.149. Indy played a better than expected schedule given how weak their division was, but they were still outscored on the year by 50 points. They followed the usual script, with every single one of their wins by a single possession, only 2 of those against a team with more than 5 wins. Never change, Indy. Just ahead of the Colts at number 5 are the Minnesota Vikings. Very few would have predicted a 14-3 record from this bunch. Few would have predicted anything close to 12 wins, which was their expected total. While that's still a fine number, it is an overachievement, and their luck score is 2.151. Only 2 teams bettered Minnesota's record, but 8 different teams bettered their point differential. They went 8-1 in one-score games, including 2 separate 2-point victories over the Packers. In all, the Vikings lost their 4 games to just 2 teams, and like the rest of their NFC North brethren, they were one and done in the playoffs. And one of those teams to beat Minnesota twice are the Los Angeles Rams, and they take residence here at number 4. The NFC West was competitive if not daunting, and the Rams won it at 10-7. Their playoff victory sent them to 11, well ahead of their expected total, landing their luck score at 2.452. They may have been 10-7, but they were outscored on the season by 19 points, albeit against the league's 4th hardest schedule. They won 8 games by a single possession, and never won any game by more than 10 points, until the playoffs anyway. But credit must be given to them for bouncing back from a 1-4 start. Our highest ranked team from the AFC is here at number 3. We welcome the Houston Texans to the countdown. Gourmands of the AFC South, Houston made the playoffs and won a game, taking their win total well beyond what would have been expected, giving them a luck score of 2.483. Those 8.5 or so wins actually make the Texans a losing team, considering they played 19 games. They finished with a dead-even point differential against the bottom 10 schedule. Their only win against a good team was against Buffalo, and of course they had that horrifying loss to the Detroit Lions, which could have turned this whole narrative around. It was a magical season for the Washington Commanders, but it wasn't one without some sprinkles of fairy dust. They take the number 2 spot here. It was their first playoff appearance in 4 years, their first winning season in 9 years, and their first playoff win in 19 years. Yet, their luck score lands at 2.7. Additionally, it was their first NFC Championship game appearance in 33 years. No one is here to take away their season. They deserved every bit of it. Yet, they were in the bottom half of the league in points allowed and played the league's 2nd easiest schedule. They were also gifted quite the win against the Bears. If you watched our video of the luckiest teams of the entire Super Bowl era, you knew who was going to be number 1 here. Or, if you just watched any NFL football in 2024, you knew who was going to be number 1 here. It is, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs. Still a good team, of course, but they tower over the field with their luck score of 3.725, more than a full win over anybody else. It's all been documented before, the super close wins by increasingly wacky means, the plus 59 point differential despite a 15-2 record, a 10-0 record in one-score games, and of course a little love from the officiating, whether intentional or not. They got blown out in the Super Bowl, of course, but don't let it be forgotten that they were going for a three-peat. Thank you so much for making it through the entire countdown. Please give this video a like, share it around, subscribe to the channel, and ding that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of our future releases. Let me know what you think about all of this. The teams near the bottom of this countdown are certainly prime candidates to have a bounce-back season, while the teams near the top could be pegged to take a step back or two. It's all about regression to the mean, baby. This won't be a uniform occurrence, but seeing things play out exactly the same has about as much chance of happening as me losing a year on my next birthday. Was there any part of the list that you found surprising? Was I too hard or too easy on any of these teams? Are you pumped for the 2025 season? Sound off on these topics or anything else you may have on your mind down in the comments section. Thank you once again for joining us today, and until next time, I hope you have an awesome day.